What a month of May. What a rally on Friday. You thought that'd be the primary thing we're going to talk about. The Oilers going to the. No, I'm just joking. We got meme stocks moving, folks, and we got a big discussion coming up on GameStop, other meme stocks. We're going to talk about what's going on this week. The only real catalyst, the jobs number on Friday, cloud stocks reporting, holding on to gains. This is going to be a fun show on Mondays, pre-market prep.
Welcome to Benzinga's Pre-Market Prep.
This is a volatile puppy here.
It's all about execution styles and strategies.
All right, good morning, traders and investors. We're all in a great mood here for a lot of different reasons. S&P 500 index futures adding to Friday's gains, up 11 3/4 handles, 53.07 a quarter. That's 102 handles above the low we made at 2 o'clock on Friday. The buck trading in the red by 7 cents, 104.55. TLT giving a little bit back from Friday's rally, only down 20 cents at 90 1/4. Crude, who pulled the air out of crude, down 7 cents at 76.92. Gold catching the bid, up 260, 23.48.50. Silver trying to find a permanent home in the 30 handle, up almost a dime at 30.52. Bitcoin, well, it's rebounding with you know what. Bitcoin up $1,820, 69,855. I would be remiss if we did not start this show by talking about an event that hasn't happened since 2006. The Edmonton Oilers are in the Stanley Cup against a favored Florida Panthers. Triple D, did you make it to the game?
Well, we got to bring AB in for this conversation too, because we know AB is our sports parlay master over here. Yeah, I survived. I was like pacing. The last 5 minutes of that game, I could not stop pacing. I was just going back and forth and back and forth. I was like, breathe, like it was, because it was 2-0 for the longest time, and the Oilers sat back the entire game. They got the early 2-0 lead, and then they just sat back. And if you don't watch hockey, what happens is, especially in the playoffs, is they get a lead and then they send one guy deep only. So they're not doing the full, 3 guys in, all 4 checking, trying to score. Sending one guy in, clog up the neutral zone, keep them to the outside, full defensive hockey. It's okay to do that for 10 minutes. They did try to do it for the entire game, like basically the entire second period and the entire third period, and it almost cost them. I mean, you've got to keep going at them a little bit. So I don't like the sitting back, but again, it's a little combination. Dallas also pressing, activating their D, playing desperate hockey because, this is it. Like, we're playing for our lives here. So you got one team playing for their lives. The other team, still has that potential of, a second chance if they do lose the game. So one team a lot more desperate. Dallas was the dominant team, but Skinner, who I've been trashing and saying, I didn't think, he was good enough, stole that game. Oilers go to the Stanley Cup final, so that was awesome, but very stressful.
I'll just make one comment, and you guys know I'm like an all-around sports fan, right? I mean, obviously there's Michigan football, Michigan basketball, professional football, whatever. I follow the sports, but I don't think there's anything more exciting, or just like in my mind, like when I'm watching a power play, like when there's 40 seconds left in a power play, I mean, that seems like eternity. I mean, those seconds.
When it's your team killing it, for sure.
When your team's trying to kill a power play and there's like, there's 38 seconds. Oh, they clear. And then the puck's back with 32 seconds to go. I mean, it's incredible. It's incredible. I really enjoy it. Pulling for the Oilers here. AB, we'll see if you have any comments on the 8:05. We got to go to this market. There's so much going on in this market.
Yeah, I mean, to me, like I was watching the game. I started focusing on the third period mostly because I was watching the baseball game on ESPN. The Cardinals were playing the Phillies, and at one point,
of course, he's watching the 162 games they play baseball. That takes priority over the hockey.
At one point, the Oilers had 8 shots and the Stars had 28, and I was like, okay,
then worse.
Yeah, and it was, and then at one point, then the Stars had a few more shots. They scored the 1 goal, 2-1, and I was like, oh god, here we go again. Because the Oilers have had this,
They've blown it before.
goaltending problem, all this stuff. But last night
Mhm.
that wasn't really the case. It was kind of the opposite, where the Oilers were able to capitalize on the fewer shots. And I mean, it was an exciting end to the game. Super. I mean, it's great to have a Canadian team in the Stanley Cup final. That's really my only thoughts, and I'm excited for that series. But like you said, there's a lot to get to in the market this morning. Obviously, the biggest news over the weekend.
Let's start Friday, though, before we go to
So we're going to get to the GameStop. Don't worry, folks. The entire show is going to be memesters talking here. But let's talk the Friday action first here because, John Lewis talking about in the chat. It was an incredible. Joel, just recap where we were at, around noon and where we ended up the day was nothing short of an
just after noon, we were on the brink of breaking into the 5,100 handle, which we haven't done since in early May. And then we just started to catch a little bit of a bid, just a rolling bid. And it just kind of looked like, okay, one of those Fridays where, you're going to settle in the middle of the range off the lows. And then those, they started to issue the imbalances. And this market got going. And a lot of times you see an initial surge off a big imbalance move, and then you see a little bit of a fade. Well, this just kept on going over 100 points. I can't think the last time we had 100-point intraday rally in the S&Ps. That must have just absolutely rolled people over. I mean, they did the whole month to buy it on the last day.
Yeah. Again, so multiple things, you're at the end of the month, so you often see some moves. It was a rebalance happening, a lot of things going on, but it was all imbalances. The closing imbalances were all massive to the buy side. And this information is publicly disseminated to the world at 3:50 p.m. NASDAQ and New York Stock Exchange both disseminate their closing imbalances. This information, though, comes out on the NYSE floor as early as 2 o'clock. So what you have is your floor brokers have informational imbalances, which give you projections for where these imbalances are or where they currently are. So they have their little handheld devices, and that allows obviously the floor traders to get a feel for where the market is going. I don't think it's a coincidence that we started rallying hard just after 2 o'clock because you get those informational imbalances starting to come out on the floor. And then they just start ripping it higher, going up 10 points, 20 points, 30 points, SPY. There was so many huge, ridiculous moves, man. Like, look at Microsoft in the last, 20 minutes. I mean, it went from 406 to 415 close. We're tacking on another buck here, too. I mean, and you obviously look at this and you think, wow, the buyers. What I have, historically, not saying it's going to happen today, but from a quantitative perspective, looking at imbalance days and rebalance days and end of the months, these typically are moves to fade. So what that means is we're having a tack-on rally here today, probably a lot to do with the memesters all going nuts, so which we'll talk about in a second. But I think today we're having a rally in a lot of names. I think it's a profit-taking day, to be honest with you here. So I'm not chasing the move from Friday saying, yeah, we rallied 100, we're going up another 100. I think I'm actually, as a trader, trading cap on, still long all my stocks, not selling my Nvidia, still long my Nvidia, but trading cap on here right now. I'd be selling, my trades into this morning's strength. That's what I'm doing. Maybe I'm wrong, but I know from a quantitative perspective, a lot of times these big moves like this, eventually, and sometimes sooner than later, do give it back.
Or shake and bake for a couple days, like you saw some good action. You had the higher open, and then you had like the people that came in and they're like, okay, they hit it right away. And then immediately they just caught, they caught a bid. It's just in an interesting area here because the all-time high, closing high is up a ways. The all-time high is a ways away. And what are you going to do? Are you going to call support Friday's low? Hell no, man. That's 100 handles away. So, I wanted to really shake up the chart, shake things up for the technicians. Not a lot of catalyst on, this week. We do have some cloud stock earnings. We also have the jobs number here So it's good. I think it'll be a lot of interesting chop here. But if the Bulls can maintain a bid here Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, we just hold in there 5,300. You just got to say, holy mackerel, this thing is ready to just blow the doors off the market. So,
and again, this is technical stuff, and I'm not a huge technical trader, so that's where the technical analyst, looks differently than this. I look at this as like this was a rebalance move, and often fade. I don't even look at the chart. Never even looked at it. I look at the chart to see what happened, but not looking to see where we could go from here. With that being said, Joel sees the strength and says, well, we got some shorts caught here now, and we can nail those guys, and that may happen too. So that's why we've got Joel as our technical analyst. Obviously, AB, you've got thoughts here too. I mean, you're watching the markets, you're seeing this huge rally on Friday. Just come out, seemingly out of nowhere, but then it's a rebalance day or an obviously end of the month, and you're like, oh, okay, well, maybe that's the reasons here. What are your thoughts on the market here?
I mean, I thought we definitely were getting a little overextended on the downside last week at a certain point, just because it felt like, I mean, people pricing in some of this slower economic growth and whatnot. And I was talking on the show how I was like, the perma bull in me is always thinking about what's going to be the next like positive catalyst. And it's like, okay, well, if economic growth is slowing down, that means rate cuts are more likely, and good news for inflation as well. Typically, if you have things slowing down a little bit, so. I don't know. I mean, I wasn't honestly too surprised by Friday's action, because I thought, again, that it was just like in the short term too oversold.
Yeah, and I want to go from oversold to overbought it seemingly in 2 hours.
Oh yeah, I'm not saying that we weren't overbought either toward the end of Friday, but yeah, at the one point I was like, all right, this is getting a little ridiculous, selling off everything for what I didn't really see necessarily a great reason why. Just because, again, like the whole fear recently has been about inflation, and it's been about the Fed not being able to cut rates. And then as soon as we get data that shows that, okay, maybe the economy is slowing down a little bit, the market starts selling off, which part of it makes sense, of course. I mean, and I think little healthy pullbacks, but I thought it was just a little bit too much. And so, again, I wasn't super shocked by the price action Friday. Was more just upset that I wasn't one of the days that I bought some, 0 date calls. Because sometimes some days
people. Everybody on Twitter did, though. Everybody on Twitter had the 0 DTE. Okay, let's get to the story of the day. And AB, bring us into this, because there's one stock here, and it's not Nvidia, that is just having an incredible morning here. Give us the details here, Roaring Kitty style.
Yeah, so last night, let me get the exact timestamp. It was at 8:02 p.m. Eastern. Roaring Kitty made another post on Twitter. Let me go ahead and share this.
That's well timed. That's right when the Robinhood market's open.
Yeah. And I didn't know.
No coincidence, Dennis. No coincidence. No coincidence.
Okay. I didn't know exactly what this meant, because it was the Uno reverse card. At first, I was like, oh my God, did he go short GameStop? I was like, this is going to be the craziest thing of all time if he went short GameStop, because the reverse card, I didn't know what it meant. And then like a minute later, you see that not only in like the Twitter post was one thing, but we've seen Roaring Kitty active on Twitter in the past few weeks, helped get GameStop going again a couple weeks ago. But that wasn't really the big news. The big news was here. Roaring Kitty posted back on Reddit, his first Reddit post in like 3 years since 2021, that he opened a new position on GameStop, and a pretty big position as well, more than $100 million, showing that he's already up $6 million.
$174 million, it looks like, price paid.
Yeah.
Is that correct?
Well,
it says total price paid. Go to that post there again.
Yeah, here we go. Is the total. So
bring that up. Make it big. I can't read. I'm old. I can't see that. Joel's getting old too.
Although Joel's better eyes than me.
I am old.
Let me try to zoom in here a little bit.
Zoom in. You had it good before. Whatever you did before was fine.
I
just want to read those numbers closely.
So here, I'll give you the numbers. So this was his previous last post on Reddit, was in April 2021, 3 years ago. And it looks like he had just over a little bit more than $11 million price paid. Now that number is more than 10 times higher at 174 million. He's showing his position that he's got June 21st calls that expires. It's like the June monthlies this month, $20 calls on GameStop, and he posts the trade on Reddit, and the stock just starts going crazy. And so a lot of people are asking questions. How did he get this much money? That he bought 5,000 shares of GameStop, and that he bought this many.
Okay.
He bought $65 million worth of calls. He bought more than $110 million worth of the common stock. It's showing. Let's see. It's showing the value here. I don't understand this. So, his cash total is still at around $30 million. So there's a lot of questions about how does he have this much money? Because if you go back and look at his trades from 3 years ago, from all accounting and reporting, it looks like he made maybe around $50 million from.
No, leave this up. This is good. So go here. So this was his last post on April 16th, 2021. And the total in the bottom column is showing what he has there. It's showing he has $3 million in cash and about $34 million. Correct?
Yep.
Am I reading that right?
Or no. Hold on. Sorry. It's
the post on the bottom. Not that one. The post from April 16th, 2021. Because what we're trying to do is come up with the math, how he's got $200 million all of a sudden.
It's showing that he's got about $3.5 million in cash, $35 million total in the position.
So if we go to April 16th, 2021, the stock was around $67. It never went higher than that. It never, Joel, ever after that point went higher than that.
And April 16th of
2021, when he posted here, you see the date. Look at the screen.
Okay, yep.
On April 16th, 2021, if you look at where GME was trading, that was well after it made the 120 high. The highest it really went after that, well, maybe it went $80. It may have went up just slightly there. But it never went up much after that. Never went up much after that. So my question, just questioning, not throwing anything out here yet. How did he go from having, if he was all in GME, how did he go from $34 million to having $174 million? Where did the other $140 million come from? I think you're going to have to write an article on this, Benzinga. Where did that money come from? My question, and I'm just, questioning, have we seen Physically Roaring Kitty? Have we seen Keith Gill himself come out with anything like a video saying these accounts are my accounts, that this is me, that these memes getting posted are me? I don't think so. All we know is there's been a bunch of memes posted from his social media accounts, and now there's all of a sudden an account that's showing an extra 140 million from where it was 3 years ago. I mean, maybe he took all his GME money and put it in Nvidia, now he's put it back in GME and he made a whole bunch of money. But I highly doubt that. I highly doubt that.
Did he go short GameStop?
Somehow, he's basically 5 times his money between 2021 and 2024 without GME going higher. Is there a possibility, chat, that he has actually indeed sold his social media accounts to a hedge fund? And that hedge fund is now running these social media accounts? Because there's been no Keith Gill. So if Keith Gill comes out and says, this is me, that theory is thrown away. How do we know this is really Keith Gill? That is my question. How do we know this is really Keith Gill? And the numbers, the math that you're showing there right now does not add up. The math does not add up, folks. 34 million to the 174 million that he just invested in GME. And that's assuming he didn't sell a dime, never spent anything, never bought anything, never sold a share. But even if he didn't sell a share, how did it go from 34 million to 174 million for him to put that kind of money in there? That's what I don't understand. Maybe, again, and again, I'm going to tick some people off here because, they want to believe this is Keith Gill. They need him to believe. The stock's flying off of this news that Keith Gill is back in. I just don't get the math. I don't understand the math. That's my only question. I don't understand the math. See, people are saying, what the hell is this guy talking about? Nobody cares. I'm just saying there's a possibility, and it's a non-zero possibility, that this may not actually be Keith Gill. Chris Camillo from Dumb Money is thinking along the same lines as me. He actually tweeted at Elon Musk, can you confirm that this is Keith Gill's account? So I'm not the only person saying this, but I'm doing the math here right now, folks. I'm a math guy. He had 34 million on April 16th, 2021. Now all of a sudden he has 174 million to invest, and he has a lot more today because those calls are going to be worth a lot more. You're talking, like $1 billion at the end of the day, probably here. I didn't add up his position, but there's going to be a lot of money he's going to be making on those calls here today. Maybe it's not $1 billion. You can go figure it out. I didn't bother doing the math, but he's making a lot of money today. Whoever's behind this account is making a lot of money today. I'm just saying there's a possibility that this is not Keith Gill. And if it is Keith Gill, where did the other 140 million come from? Please answer that.
Yeah, I mean, I think right now it's like we have to talk just about the implications of the post, what it's doing to the stock. But I think, raising fair points and good questions, Dennis. And obviously, I mean, what do you think the price tag would be for him to have sold his social media accounts? If say, I don't know, I'm not going to throw any hedge fund names out there that would do that. But if they come up to him and it's been a couple of years since he made his GameStop money and they say, hey, we'll give you $5 million for your account.
No.
Knowing they could make a lot more than that. I mean,
yeah, they didn't offer him $5 million. No.
Why not, Joel? Like, who cares?
If you,
I'm saying $10 million. I mean, I would have
even if he made it, but saying the possibility was there.
Yeah,
like 5 million, 10 million, 2 million, 1 million. He knows what he sold. He wouldn't have sold it for 1 million, I don't think, because he just made 34 million. But I mean, somebody is making hundreds of millions of dollars today. Somebody. It may be Keith Gill. Maybe it's Keith Gill. Maybe it's not, though, too. We don't know. Keith Gill comes out with a video on Reddit, then that theory is in the garbage. I'm just saying we don't know with 100% certainty at this point in time that's Keith Gill. It's an incredible move. GME up, 80% here today. It's an incredible move. People are saying, oh, I'm just bitter. We want to know something? I'm not bitter, folks. You want to know why I'm not bitter? I'm going to say it right now. I was long GME this weekend. I was actually long GME this weekend. The reason I was long GME,
Dennis. Yeah, talk about
the reason I was long GME is, one, it reports next week. You know how I like to buy my stocks before the reports. Two is the chart was starting to look productive. We had the huge sell-off. It found consolidation around 20, and I'm saying, I do look at charts. I don't always use them, but it was starting to hook. I talk about my little hook. I'm like, it's starting to show a little bit of life here. I thought to myself, maybe some memesters get excited over the weekend. I did not think Keith Gill is going to post that he's got, this. It's just a windfall. I sold the stock. I woke up at 6:45 this morning. I already knew it was going to be up because of last night. It was trading up on Reddit. It was up. I sold it this morning, I think, at $40.75. So I'm out. So it was good for me. It was a great trade. I was in it just for those reasons. So I'm definitely not bitter. I made money on it. It worked out. But what I do know is I just don't know if we have confirmation this is actually him. I'm thinking it. I'm not the only person thinking it, folks. There's a lot of people thinking it out there.
And you know what?
A lot of people thinking it.
It'd be a great opportunity for Musk to add a lot of legitimacy to Twitter. Like if he could, I mean, it's a verified.
He can't do it though. I don't think.
No.
And I don't think he can come out and say, Musk can't come out and say who owns this account, I don't think, or sold this account. That's private information, isn't it?
Right. But and it's not really illegal. I mean, if you think about it, I mean, there's nothing, is it illegal to buy someone's Twitter account? No.
We don't know.
I don't think so.
We don't know for sure if that's what happened. I think it's probably more likely than not that this is Roaring Kitty. I just think then there are some questions.
Where's the math, though, AB?
That's what I'm saying. I think there's questions to be answered there, about where...
Did somebody back him?
Yeah.
Maybe somebody's backed him.
Did someone fund him? Did he make a trade after on GameStop that, he didn't disclose publicly where he went short with someone? There's a lot of different possibilities, including the possibility that it's not him, but let's assume it is for a second.
Sure.
Then I think we just need, there are questions that need to be answered though. Like, how did you go from making, 50 million on GameStop 3 years ago to having triple that 3 years later? And
it's plan B, bringing up a good point here too, AB. And I thought this too. Did he make on the recent run that we just had 2 weeks ago? Did he have a bunch of calls, made a whole bunch of money, then just reloaded, and maybe he just made all this money right there? Good point. It's plan B. It's a good point. Maybe he did just make this money here on this big GameStop. Maybe he just made $100 million just literally in May. Somebody made a lot of money in May, so he probably did. It's a great point. Maybe he just made all that money there too. I wish Keith Gill would just come out. I wish the meme stuff would stop. I wish he would just come out with a video and say, look, it's me. I'm out here. Put all these other theories to rest. But those theories are going to be there as long as it's just him, because he was like the bandana guy. He's out there making the videos. I mean, it just doesn't feel like his style to just be posting memes and not coming out here and getting all ramped up. Think about the stock. He comes out and he's got his bandana. Why is he not doing that? Like he was cool personality, all that. I mean,
did he get money from the movie?
Why the questions are still there.
What about the movie?
Anybody can post a meme.
What about the movie? Did he get my Thrifty FTJ13 says, what did he get some money from the movie?
Maybe. Yeah, so maybe he did. Maybe the money adds up. Maybe it does. He made a lot of money in there somewhere, though, between the GameStop top and somewhere. He went from 37 million to 174 million, if it is indeed him. Or maybe there's a hedge fund back. Maybe there's a lot of questions. We just don't know. So these are just questions, folks. I'm not saying anything. No accusations here. Nothing like that. Is this all legal? Those are questions here, too. I mean, is everything legal that you can just... He's basically got a printing press here right now. If he posts something, whoever's behind this account, if they post something, they know it's going up. I mean, they loaded up. They massively front-loaded this. 120,000 calls. Is that how many he had? 120,000 calls? Is that right? The position's gone, so I can't see it now. Was it 120,000 calls?
Let's pull it back up real quick. He
owns 120,000 calls right now?
Yep, 120,000, June 21st, $20.
That's exposure to 12 million shares.
Yeah.
And he has 5 million. So he's exposure to 17 million shares. So 17 million.
But there's not really risk because he
times
knows...
18. No, there's no risk. This is my point. I'm making this point. There's no risk here because he knows it's going to go out. So so somebody's front loaded this with 17 million shares times $18 a share. So what is that? 17 times 18. Joel, you're good with that math.
400 million. 20 times 20. It's a little bit less.
So a little bit less. 300 million. It's up $300 million here. Just went from 174 million to 500 million overnight. Wow. Keith Gill or whoever's behind this account has a printing press right now. That's incredible.
Yeah, and then I think again, like there is
306 million. It's Plan B. You're all over the math today. $306 million. Somebody just made $306 million.
If they sold.
Wow.
If they sold.
Well, if they sold. Yeah, they're up. They're up $306 million right now. Wow. It's incredible.
Again, there is the possibility that someone came in and why would Keith Gill not do it if someone came in and like some rich investor or hedge fund decided to back him and said, hey, we'll give you $100 million. You keep, 50% of the profits.
Yeah.
We get the other 50%. And I mean, Kitty's been through this now. Keith Gill went and testified to Congress. So I have no doubt that he knows and he's consulted with lawyers about what he's allowed to do and what he's not allowed to do. If he tweeted all this stuff last night and posted his Reddit stuff and then sold first thing this morning, there might be a case for market manipulation or whatever against him. So maybe he wants to hold for a couple.
I don't know if there is. I mean, is it illegal to post memes? Is it illegal to post your positions?
Well, yeah, I mean, when you think about back
he's
when
not telling you to go out and buy it, but he knows the media is going to buy. The intent is to move the stock higher. It's obvious the intent. Can you prove that intent in a court? It's difficult, man. There was somebody just on CNBC a little while and they're saying this regulation hasn't kept up with the meme stuff. That's why it's so difficult to
regulation
know what's going on.
Kept up with anything. But you know what?
We got Joe Saluzzi coming on in 5 minutes. Going to be out. Joe's good with this kind of stuff.
Do you want to bring him on a little bit early, or you want to?
Is Joe here? Yeah. Bring him on. Because we're right in the thick of it here, and we're questioning, and I'm pissing a lot of people off by just throwing out questions here. I'm wondering if Joe's not afraid to piss people off. Bring Joe Saluzzi on here.
Looks like Joe's getting set up. Joe's getting set up. We'll give him a couple minutes here, and then
2 minutes. He's just getting his camera set up and stuff. He's here though.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Let's do a start. Let's do the news on Nvidia.
Yeah.
Sure.
Our headline. So we had both Nvidia and AMD announcing new AI chips. And I mean, Nvidia now at this point up 3% this morning, or last time I checked, eyeing all-time highs. I think there was a China headline over the weekend as well, but from what I'm seeing in Benzinga Pro, big news this morning again, like announcing new AI chips. I mean, I just don't really know what else you can say about Nvidia at this point, other than it's the best stock in the market. It's been performing.
It is the market. It is the market. It's not the best stock in the market. It is the market.
It is in 2024.
It is. It is the market. And until this thing caves or, well, caving for that is like being flat. So, there's a lot of, did a little bit of reading in Barron's, how bad this is for the market and everything. But I mean, this thing's got momentum. You got the split coming in. You keep getting positive news on it. So, I will just say the only thing I can give you is the technicals. There's a pair of highs at the 11. This called 1156. So if you're looking for a target on the upside, you had three highs. Is actually between like 1149 to 1158. So pick your poison in that area. 1155. The old time closing high right up there is 1148 and a quarter. So a little bit of consolidation, but you've seen what this done every time it's had to move up, consolidation, move up, consolidation. Let's see how it's already getting a good lead here, up nearly $38.
I mean, this stock just has everything going. I've still got my core position. People keep bugging me and begging me to sell it. I'm not selling. They're like, what are you doing still in this stock? I just think AI is not going away. The news flow continues to just be positive here. I'm just in it. I believe it's going to be the most valuable company in the world. I think it's 1260. I think it passes Microsoft. If it gets up to 1260, obviously it's going to split. So maybe it's going to be 100 and whatever that works out to, 126 on the post split. But I think it gets there. I don't know if it's getting there this week. Somebody was saying, it could get there at the end of the year. I think it could get well there before the end of the year. I mean, the thing's just in rocket ship mode. The one thing about Nvidia, like, it's not just like, isn't just like story and getting driven by momentum. Sure, some of that's there as well. It's been the fundamentals driving the story, though, folks. I mean, they just keep coming out with new chips, faster. It's just everything. Everything just, is working for the stock right now. It's going to stop working eventually, as easy as it is. And yes, there's been a lot of, coming in. And I just think the story is not over here yet. And I think AI is in the early innings. And that's why I want to hold a core position.
Yeah, you had an analyst coming in, trying to find the exact thing here, but they had analysts forecast $10 trillion valuation by Nvidia by 2030.
What?
So that's 6 years away, and it's a
10 trillion?
Yeah,
who said that?
It's a 2.7 trillion. I don't know. I see it in Pro right now. I'm trying to find the exact analyst
that's a bold call.
That said it. Well, I mean, yeah, it's Nvidia tripling in the next 6 years, which I don't think is. I think tripling might be a little bit outlandish.
Well, tripled in the last 6 months.
Yeah, that's true. I think there's a good chance Nvidia doubles from here in the next 2 to 3 years. I'm not going to go as far to say tripled, but I mean, just looking at the growth, the company doesn't even need to maintain its current growth for that to happen. It just needs to maintain like 80% of its current growth over the next 2 years. And I think there's a good chance you see the stock doubling. But it's just, I mean, we've talked about Nvidia so much the past couple of months that, like I said, I don't know really what else there is to say about it other than it is just clear and away the leader in AI, the leader in technology right now. Everyone wants to be Nvidia. Everyone wants to be closer to Nvidia. You have companies that are going out there just saying that they're working with Nvidia, and you see their stocks trading up, 10% on here. So can't really speak too much about, I mean, we can't say more than we already have just about how incredible Nvidia's move has been. All right, let's go ahead and bring Joe on now, though. It's 8:34. Let's give Joe our special pre-market prep welcome and see what he's been watching when we get back. All right, Joe Saluzzi, how are you doing this morning?
Gentlemen, doing well. How you guys doing?
Good. I mean, crazy night last night, obviously, with the GameStop stuff heading into the market today. Have you been following this the meme trade?
Unfortunately, yes. I've been following it. Dennis, I saw your tweet this morning saying, how do we know who's posting this? Is it really him? I mean, does it even matter at this point? This type of stuff is beyond ludicrous. There is no fundamentals. There is no, here's my question. Who starts trading it? Who puts that first trade in? And it used to be 4 a.m. was the first, first it was 7 a.m. Now it's 4 a.m. New York time first trade. But apparently last year, Robinhood started trading 24/5 or 5 days a week, starting at 8 p.m. on a Sunday night. Yep. And what they're doing is they're using a facility called Blue Ocean ATS, which is an alternative trading system that was approved. That's how they're trading in this overnight hour. But I didn't think they were trading individual names. I thought it was just doing ETFs, but apparently they are. So last night I'm looking through Twitter or whatever it's called now, and I see, GameStop's trading up 30%. I'm like, where the hell is it trading up 30%? Well, the market opens at 4 a.m. tomorrow morning, the pre-market. Well, apparently there's Blue Ocean and robbing it. But that's the momentum going, right?
Yeah.
And so we got to tweet. Now we got to trade. Here's my thing. If I worked at the SEC, which maybe one day I will, because I'm so damn pissed off at some of this stuff, I'd get the consolidated audit trail, which we spent millions and millions and millions of dollars building for the past decade. And I would look to see who traded first. And I would start tying things together with derivatives and everything else. And I'd find the people. And I'd say, if there's collusion or whatever it might be, we can pick this apart really easily now. That's why we have the consolidated audit trail. So I'm assuming they're doing that. So if there is shenanigans going on here, they're going to get caught.
Is it? And I've got this question too. Is it illegal and obviously, so Joe, just to catch up if you didn't, they've actually on Reddit, this Roaring Kitty account actually posted their positions. This is the big reason why it's moving last night. And they posted that they have 120,000 calls at $20 and 5 million shares. So we're assuming this is Keith Gill, but we don't even know that. We don't know. We just know this account. So they have $170 million worth of GameStop posted last night. And now the stock basically doubles. Or was it more than that? Was it 170?
No, I was going to say through common stock and options.
17 million shares exposure to 17 million shares here, Joe. Is this illegal for somebody to I'm just asking the question, not so people say, you're accusing. Asking Joe the question. Is it illegal for somebody to go buy 17 million shares and then post all these memes on Twitter? They didn't say buy the stock. Right. He didn't say, we're going, they just posted the position and a meme of a Uno card. Is this illegal?
I don't know. I'm going to be honest. I don't know the legality of it. Like you just said, we don't even know whose account this is. No. And for people to be trading off of an unknown, maybe somebody just made this is all just fake, right? Who knows? But if somebody is illegally pumping a situation, right? If there's a pump and dump going on here, as we say in the business, right? Yeah, there will be some. There's definitely something illegal there. So again, I would hope that the regulators are onto this, considering that when the meme stock events first came out, we had 3 congressional hearings. We've had all sorts of new rules coming down with the SEC to try to change these things. If they're not all over this, then they're asleep at the wheel again. So they need to come out, and they can't just sit back and wait 6 months. They need to come out right now and answer your question. Is there something illegal going on here? And if there is, we're going to stop it right now. And if not, well, then go ahead.
It's all just, incredible. And then it's not just GameStop. We look, AMC is up 25% today. An Uno card. It's crazy. A memes of an Uno card is driving GameStop, and obviously the positions as well, up 73%. AMC is up 25%. There's a whole bunch of other ones. SunPower is trading up 13%. All these other memester and high short interest names are all ripping 5, 10, 15%, some of them here today. What are your thoughts just on all this all together? Is this all just a stay away? It's all just smoke and mirrors nonsense? Or what are your just overall thoughts here on this memesters?
Well, it tells you about the style of trading, right? And I'm an old timer. I've been around for a long time, and I still believe in fundamentals. Silly me, right? But I think it's
me too. I question myself all the time.
What's wrong with you, right? So yeah. Changed, right? And I understand, and I go with the times. If people want to trade this way and they want to gamble, essentially, is what they're doing. So be it. It's your money. I could care less what you do with it. If you're happy giving your money to the Wall Street banks and big brokers, go right ahead and do it. Because just like in Vegas, the casinos build giant buildings worth billions of dollars for a reason. Because the suckers who come in, well, most of them are going to lose. Yeah, there'll be some winners. There'll be a few, whales at the table, and everybody will point to them and say, "Hey, look at this guy. He's made all this money." But you know what? The rest of you all are going to lose your money because it's not a game you want to be playing. But again, not my business to say what you want to do. If you want to spend your money, if you want to go on one of these gambling apps and bet in game on a game, who am I to say you can't do it? Of course you can. But what I'm saying is that the fundamentals don't make any sense. The stories don't make any sense. And we've seen this before. This is not new. We saw it in GameStop. We saw it in these others, and they all come crashing down to earth. But yeah, good luck. Go ahead, give it a shot. If you don't like that, go trade some meme coins or whatever the hell in the crypto world they're doing. But it's all this gambling mentality. It's this, it's this whole, DraftKings. I want to say DraftKings. It's this app feeling. Everybody needs action, it seems like. And long-term fundamental investing doesn't seem to suffice for that action. So they're going for this type of stuff. And the other thing that they're doing now are these sub-dollar names. Have you been looking at this? Every morning, first thing I do is I pull up my machine. What are the most active names? The top 10 names are all stocks that are under $1. And actually, the FT had an article on it yesterday. 7 out of the 10 most active names in May in the U.S. stock market was sub-dollar names. So this is noise volume again. This is more gambling. People come in the morning. They try to get it from 10 cents to 20 cents, and they try to just catch it just in time before it collapses. You want to do that and try to make some money, I say good luck, but it's not going to work in the long term. And the problem I have with that also is it is distorting market volumes. You've got 25, 30% of overall market volumes on some days being from this noisy sub-dollars. So you think that we traded 10 billion shares yesterday or on Friday, but we actually traded 7 because most of it is noise in garbage. So again, this is the type of mentality. Unfortunately, the stock market has gotten to this stage, whatever the reasons are, like I said. Maybe it's the long-term folks who are just kind of, sitting back. I don't know, but it is disturbing.
It just kind of feels like the Wild West, like this meme stuff. Like, I mean, we go back to like 5-6 years ago before the start of the meme trade. It seemed like we had some order. There was always, pump and dumps have always existed from the beginning of time. But social media has really blasted off the pump and dumps. I mean, it's like somebody gets a following, they get a pump. They're like, yeah, this is going to the moon. And it seems like, it's not just big accounts, it's little accounts. It's like everybody's just talking their book all the time, trying to pump their stocks. I mean, it feels like just pump and dumps are everywhere.
Yeah. And you know what it is also? I think there's this, I don't want to call it tribal type of a mentality of a them versus us. And I get it. I understand what the retail crowd is saying. Okay. I work for an institutional brokerage firm, but I'm a little different, guys. I wrote a book called Broker Markets. I don't like the way things work. Okay. But what I see is a retail crowd saying, hey, the system, we're going to go after the system and we're going to get those Wall Street guys. Well, how'd that work out the first time? How'd that work out in 2021? Right? I don't think so. That's if you really want to change it, write comment letters to the SEC when you see proposals you don't like. Get involved that way. But when you think that you're getting in this tribal mentality and you're getting on your gambling site, it's not going to work. Okay. And then everyone talks about short sellers. That's not the issue here. Okay. It is not the issue. So yeah, it is a different world. And like I said, I'll go with it. Hey, if you guys want to trade that way, it is what it is. But I don't think it's the right thing.
What about the implications for the overall market? Is there any? I mean, is there any correlations here? You talk about excessive speculation. We saw what happened in 2021, or is this just something the rest of the market, Nvidia, these other stocks, the fundamentals, it's just something that's going to come and go. If you're going to participate, you're going to participate, or do you see any implications? We've seen this before. We've seen what happened to the market. Is there any parallels you could draw?
Yeah, Joel, I don't think it goes away. I mean, and we saw it in 2021 and we thought it went away, right? And it keeps coming back. So no, this is a fabric of the market now. This is something that we're going to have to deal with. And, these things will especially with these overnight, this is really like we were talking about before, these overnight trades. And then you get the media reports, all of a sudden gets everybody excited. Oh, so-and-so stocks trading up 30%. I got to get in. It's that, don't FOMO mentality. But that it is what it is. And part of it is social media. Part of it is the access to trading that we didn't have in the past. We used to trade. We went from 9:30 to 4 o'clock. And of course, extended hours, we branched that out. And now we're going overnight. And, you have to really question some of those motives of why are you trading at Sunday night? Okay. There's no liquidity, guys. There's nothing going on.
That's the issue. Is like and Interactive Brokers does this too now, Joe. They start the same hour, so they've got the same thing as Robinhood, and they trade all the stocks too. So it's Robinhood and Interactive Brokers both got. But I'm an Interactive Brokers account. I do trade every once in a while. I go on there Sunday night and see what's happening. Usually, what I'm doing is fading some ridiculous move. Like if I see something that just absolutely seems absurd, then or if I'm long a stock and wants to trade up 5 points on no news because somebody on Robinhood or Interactive Brokers is really excited to buy it, I'll sell it. But I mean, is this like when you look at this after hours trading, this isn't after hours trading, it's after hours trading. I mean, it's like, to your point, it's very thin markets. I mean, some people can really get hurt here.
Yeah, I think so. And I'm surprised that the SEC allows this type of activity. I mean, I really, who's watching the shop, right? Who's out there on Sunday night watching the shop? So, and you are trusting Robinhood and interactive brokers, I guess, to protect your orders and so on. But I don't know where that came from. They're pushing it. They want overseas traders involved in this. So likely, somebody on a Sunday night who thinks they're a retail trader and trading with another retail trader could be trading with a professional trader in Asia. Okay, you could be trading with a bank somewhere out in the Far East. So you think you're doing good luck, and those guys are pretty sharp. Maybe that's where the pump started. I don't know. Maybe we should be looking into overseas folks. There's a lot you should be looking
let me take a little bit of a. I don't want to call it cynical. I'll just call it analytical. I mean, it's just really nothing new. I mean, the futures started trading on a 24-hour basis on June 25th, 1992, right? And they started trading at 6 p.m. I mean, the activity that happens between 6 p.m. and 4 a.m. on a Sunday night, really, no stocks are open. There's no true value. So it's just big players jockeying against each other. Like S&P's up 12. That's not much, right? But some of these mornings, whatever the news is, you see it trading up, 60, 70 handles, right? Isn't that, I mean, how much difference is that? The big boys battling each other, getting maybe on the same side of the market, taking some economic data. I mean, look how much we trade even before the economic data comes out. So some people can argue that, yeah, the little guy's doing it now, but this is something that the big players, the big institutions have been doing in the futures market for a couple decades.
Sure. I think maybe the difference is that these are individual names. We're not even talking about ETFs here. We're talking about single stocks that have valuations of less than $1 billion or a company, right? Small stocks that are easily maneuvered, and I don't want to say manipulated, but let's just say manipulated, as opposed to the S&P 500, which is a giant contract, right? And to move that, it takes a lot of money, and it's a much bigger to do. And that should be, I don't have a problem with overnight trading on the futures because there are global activities, there's global events, things happen. We need to know where the markets are feeling that morning. And oftentimes when the markets open, it changes, right? You see that pre-market move, and all of a sudden we get this, difference at 9:30 when liquidity comes in. But these are individual names. And I have a serious problem with the potential for someone to be manipulating these names and then for retail and other investors to come in and unfortunately get hit by it. So again, I would point to the regulators. I would say that they need to speak up again and say, hey, we're on this. And in fact, I'd like to see some reports coming out of this consolidated audit trail that I spent my money on, by the way, as a firm. We have to pay for this as brokerage firms. So let's see what they're doing here. And I get a feeling that they see some stuff. So again, Joel, just to answer your question, I think it's a single stock phenomenon that is a little bit more disturbing.
Do we think, taking this back to the GameStop post from last night, me and Joel joked about it right off the hop, Joe, do you think this is coincidence that this account, Roaring Kitty, posts this at 8:02 p.m. Sunday night, right when the Robinhood market opens? With the least liquidity possible?
No. I don't believe in coincidences at all in this type of situation. Of course not. So yes, you could easily track this stuff down. But who promoted that post? Where did it come from? Right? If it's not even his Twitter account, apparently, right? It's not on that Twitter account. Where did it come from? Who promoted it? There's pretty easy to investigate as to how these things get started. And that's what, regulators should be doing.
Joe, I know you have, privacy issues and everything, and you have a lot of institutional, customers. You could answer or not answer. Do you see a lot of GME orders rolling across your desk?
No, I would say I can answer that pretty simply.
Okay.
You're not going all in on GME?
I haven't seen
the man. Personally, Joe, do you trade it personally?
No, I don't trade. I've never traded that stock in my life. No, and it's not. I don't mean to laugh. It's just not something that our accounts are mostly long only, fundamentally based. Yeah. They're doing the research. They are adding to positions. They're pairing positions. It's a lot of that type of stuff. We're doing pair trades versus this versus that. But most of them are not involved in that. I guess some hedge funds are out there trading it. I don't have those style accounts here. We're certainly much more longer term focused. But again, I'm not going to say you can't do. You do whatever you want. I mean, this is a free market, right? We could do whatever we want. And if you guys want to trade at 4 a.m. and buy GameStop, go. Good luck is all I say. Oh, good luck, and it is what it is. I got a bigger problem with those sub-dollar names, like I talked about before. Which, by the way, the exchanges there are responsible for that. The NASDAQ, they have listing standards, and to delist a stock on the NASDAQ, it takes almost a year for these guys to delist it once they go below $1, and then they have some other qualifications. But what these companies do, they're pretty slick. They do a reverse split. In order to get that stock price over $1, they do their reverse split, and so they live another day until it goes back below $1 again. So every time, when you look at these morning stocks, the first thing I do is I pull up a chart. I'm like, oh, when they do their reverse split, they did one in the past, they're going to do another one. It's this game that goes on. So why are the exchanges allowing this type of activity? Well, I can tell you why. They want the volume. Exchanges are just as guilty. They want more volume. The more volume they get, the better it is for their market share. So NASDAQ's out there posting, 15, 16% market share when half of it is noise. Okay, so that's another problem that needs to be addressed. That's something I could easily fix, right? But again, no one's doing anything about it.
Well, all right, Joe, it's been a pleasure to catch up with you, get your very sane thoughts on this crazy move, because it seems like that's what we need more of in this market, is people like you with some sane takes and understands what's going on. But Joe, thank you so much for joining us on Pre-Market Prep. Hope you enjoy the rest of your Monday, and just
you bet. Thanks, guys, and just be careful out there.
Thank you.
Thanks.
All right, guys, that was Joe Saluzzi. Always great catching up with Joe. We've got about 8 minutes left. So, I mean, look, like I get it, guys, in the chat. Like, you don't want to hear us saying that, oh, buying GameStop here would be stupid, this and that. And we're not even necessarily really saying that. I mean, Dennis is still long GameStop.
No, I know. I sold it.
No,
I sold it as soon as I woke up this morning. So I had it again. So my trade in GameStop was nothing to do with this. I bought it Friday because I liked that it was looking like it was hooking up. I like the technicals, and I also like the fact that it reports in a week. So, I talk about that strategy all the time, owning stocks ahead of reports. This is one of the most talked stocks on social media. I'm like, it was highly likely that there's probably going to be a pre-earnings run. I didn't think pre-earnings runs all going to happen in one day. So this is a windfall. What happens when you win the lottery? You take the money, you cash in your ticket. I cashed in my ticket. I bought the close, $23.14 on Friday. I sold it this morning at $40 and change or whatever. I'm out. So I'm completely out. I'm not going to re-enter this thing. If it comes back down, and starts to show me some life again, I can control the risk a little bit more. Maybe I'll get back in. But at this point in time, I'm out. It was good. It worked out. Trade, just lucky. Lucky that the person who's behind this account, happens to post and the thing takes off. Just luck.
My point was, I was just gonna say, like, we're just, I guess, trying to give like the like talking to Joe about the overall implication in the market is anytime you see when these like sub $1 stocks are flying and penny stocks, and then you have like the meme stuff, like usually historically when you have these heightened times of speculation, there's usually some sort of fallout on the other end. I'm not saying for sure that, this is a sign of the top in the market and you need to sell everything. And I'm not selling anything out of my long-term portfolio. I'm just saying that typically, again, if you look at historical precedents, it is a little worrisome. I think if you're looking at the overall market, when you just see this rise in rapid speculation and risk taking. And I mean, again, like everything that gets so divorced from the fundamentals. And we know the market's not efficient. That's why there are these trading opportunities. But just interesting point from Joe. And glad that Joel asked about that.
I got to hop here, but I'm just going to give some overall market thoughts. No specific. I will not give any technicals on GME today. Just look at your stocks from Friday. I mean, if you were buying that dip on Friday, there had to been some point where you're like, wow, man, I'm taking some heat on this. And now you've turned around and you're probably green on a lot of those positions. So I would just, the S&Ps are 11 handles above the close, and I'm sure a lot of your stocks are staying in the green. I would just keep an eye on that. Like, if you think there's momentum here from that move on Friday enough to just keep this market going, then I wouldn't expect, these stocks to go red. The S&Ps went red briefly overnight, but keep an eye on the mark, because that rally, I mean, if you were buying that, you took out the week's low by a wide margin. You came already back. You came all the way back and ended up making an unchanged week. So that's what I'd be looking at. If you're looking for this rally to continue, I just want to talk about tomorrow a little bit. I'm not sure who we're bringing on to T3, but from T3, but I want to give a big shout out to Scott Redler. He had some surgery on Friday or over the weekend. He's recovering. Scott, I'm sure you're not listening, but to the T3 people out there, best wishes to you, Scott. Get healthy and get back on our show again real soon. I will let you guys talk a little bit more sports, and I'll be back with you tomorrow morning.
All right, Joel. Enjoy the rest of
Okay.
your day. We'll see you tomorrow.
Okay, well, see,
all right.
Scott. I want to talk, implications here, like talk the overall market again. We
Yeah.
talked GameStop a lot on this show here today. It's a really cool thing to talk about. It's just a really cool story. I think, to Joel's point, he's talking, the technicals, the S&P. I'm going to start with where we started the show. I'm going to finish the show is that I'm a seller in today's rally. I think that it was a gift. Friday, we were looking ugly. I think we had end of the month, rebalance, a lot of, imbalances at the close, driving the prices higher. I typically fade those moves. So it would not surprise me if this market actually turned around and went red today. I'm not so sure the IWM, because it's blasting off with the GameStop and it's like all excited. Small caps are more exciting here. But talking mega caps, if you're in the mega caps for trades, and again, these are I'm taking my trading hat on, not my investing hat on. I think I'd be selling into the strength. Like Microsoft had a really bad morning on Friday, and then it reversed here, and you can say, oh yeah, well, key reversal, I want to go long that thing, it caught some people. Maybe that's the case, but it was on an imbalance, at the close, and there was like buyers that needed to buy. It's more of a fade trade. So I think I'm selling stocks like Microsoft, and just trading hat, selling stocks like Microsoft today, selling stocks like Meta today, selling stocks like Amazon today, maybe even selling Apple today, maybe even taking some profits. I'm not selling my Nvidia, but if you had it on for a trade, it just runs 35 points. Nvidia is a different story though, because it's got the pre-split run happening here now. So, I'd be very cautious selling. I'm probably not selling, and I'm not selling any of my shares of Nvidia in my long-term account. But I don't even know if I had it on for a trade. Maybe you're still going to run it a little bit here because of the pre-split run. But Microsoft, Apple, I'd be careful chasing this morning. That's what I'll say. I'll be careful chasing the mega caps this morning.
Yeah, I mean, and I agree, and that's kind of what I was saying about, I think when you at times when you have this in the cycle where you get the heightened levels of speculation and people just kind of making bets on the market that aren't tied whatsoever to fundamentals, I think a lot of times is when you start seeing those pullbacks. What about just price predictions here for GameStop, Dennis? I mean, we're trading
well, I wouldn't have sold if I thought it was going higher. So I obviously think it's going back down. Like maybe it continues to go higher. Nobody knows these things, but I always say sell your peanuts while the circus is in town. The stock just popped 72% because somebody posted a meme. And again, maybe it's Roaring Kitty. Maybe it's, actually Keith Gill. Maybe if he comes out with a video, it's going to even pop even more. But I think profit taking here is prudent.
Yeah, and I think I wouldn't be surprised to see this thing run at the open, and then kind of as the day goes out, maybe some of the excitement fades again. Because again, like my biggest worry with the whole, story driving GameStop stock right now is just how many times can we do this before before there's going to be certain people that are just like, oh, no, I've done that before. I bought GameStop and I lost money on it last time. I'm not going to do it again. Not to mention that when this first thing happened, I made this point last time we started talking about these stocks again. When this first thing happened, like we were all bored and didn't have anything going on. Like it was COVID, things were locked down. People had a bunch of extra money from stimulus checks. Now people are back at work. Like, how many people maybe would have bought GameStop 2 years ago or 3 years ago, but now they're in the office and they're busy with work. So they don't have time to do that. They don't have time to trade. So it's just something that I would be concerned about, like buying into the story right now. It's just,
I think if you're buying into this story here right now, I think it's very dangerous. I think it's very dangerous.
Yeah.
There's a lot of people.
I mean, a lot of investing and like I do a lot of options trading that's
dangerous.
Inherently dangerous and risky. So I don't think there's anything wrong with it. Just know that whatever money you're using to do these trades should be like auxiliary money that you don't mind losing. You shouldn't be doing it with rent money or money you need for food. So, if you have like $300 sitting in an account and you want to buy GameStop today because you love Roaring Kitty and you love the story, go ahead. I just don't want to see anyone lose their money that they need or that is going to put them in a bad position.
Agree. I'm of the opinion. I think we have precedence here. I mean, it's pretty cool and everything, but the last rally, fizzled out very quickly. In 3 days, it went from 60 some back down to 20. Getting almost back to a point to where it came from, which is what I like as well. I like it when they come all the way back down, which was more reason why I was taking it long at 20, because I thought there might be some upside here. And obviously it happened. I think I took profits into it. I think taking profits into it, not putting new money to work in GameStop at $39. No.
All right, well, guys, it is 9 a.m. Again, tomorrow we'll have T3 Tuesday, so make sure to come back for that. 8 a.m. we'll be catching up with T3 at around 8:35 a.m. Eastern. Have fun trading today, guys. It should be a little bit of extra volatility, some fireworks there on the meme stocks for sure. I mean, that's sort of, Dennis, I'm like at a point where I'm like, why don't I just buy some of these other meme stocks that haven't ran as much as GameStop, and then hope that they
Well, and you are seeing, so we just mentioned that brief, AMC is up 22% here today. I mean, did we have the run already in the pre-market? But there's a lot of them that are really, showing a lot of strength here today. Some of them not up as much, like that Beyond. I don't have a position in this, BYON, Beyond Meat. That's like, it got a little pop when GameStop went last time. These things pop again. No, maybe. But the problem is they kind of were already up more in the pre-market. They're starting to leak already here. So I kind of feel like this could actually fizzle out faster than before. I'm scared of the fizzle here. I'm scared of these stocks, the rally actually fizzling out. But, some of them, if they're not up much, maybe you could take a shot.
Yeah. Well, all right. That'll be a wrap on today's show. Please smash the like if you haven't already. We do have live trading starting up right now, so make sure to stay tuned for that. This stream will redirect you there. Dennis, again, congratulations on the Oilers win last night. Super exciting seeing them go to the Stanley Cup. I will be rooting for them against the Florida Panthers.
Saturday night,
game 1, baby. That's a big so far that will be the most important game of the Stanley Cup, game 1. And then after that, it'll probably be game 2. But all right. Again, thank you guys for tuning in. We will see you guys tomorrow morning.